Hey guys, welcome back to The New Critic, and today I'm going to be ranking all 5 seasons of Prison Break, from worst to best, or in this case, from the least great to the greatest, in my opinion of course. Now after watching the show in its entirety, I was actually pretty surprised with how I ended up ranking each season. And don't worry, this video isn't going to consist of, far-fetched kind of opinions. Now, even though I include very simple and straightforward scores out of 10 at the end of each video, in this video I'll be more specific with those scores. For example, 8.3, 7.6, 9.4, etc. I'm not sure if I'm going to apply this to every single ranking I do because, well, I guess I could do with fewer headaches? I don't know. So without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 is Season 3. Now that's not to say that this is a terrible season or even a mediocre season. It's a great season, it actually surprised me. I knew going in that there was the writer's strike and stuff like that, but I was still hoping it would be somewhat entertaining, and even then I was blown away. Seeing some of the characters in another prison, and a prison that's very different this time around, the Sona prison, was very refreshing, especially since Michael's tattoos were useless at this point. The fact that it was only 13 episodes didn't really take away from the experience. The pacing was practically flawless, the character development was great, and the finale was incredible. The twists and turns aren't the best, but they're still great as well. My only major gripe is that the story was definitely a complete story in itself, but it still, felt like a bridging of the gap between 2 seasons, whereas with the rest of the seasons that wasn't the case. The general who was introduced in season 2 was barely in the season, and I was really looking forward to seeing more of him. And we had to wait until season 4. Teabag was a little subdued, though I still liked the inner conflict within him. And a lot of things that were set up in the season were just kind of, either retconned or glossed over completely in season 4. But overall, it's an extremely underrated season, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it an 8.5. Coming in at number 4 is Season 2. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the season. I love this season, but the show has gotten much better from here, in my opinion. Now, in the first season, we watched the characters break out of a maximum security prison. But as phenomenal as season 1 was, the big question on everyone's minds is when the show first came out is that in a show called Prison Break, what happens after they escape? Where can they possibly go from here? Well, they went on the run, and it all played out perfectly. Paul T. Shearing, who created the show, described it as the fugitive times 8, as the 8 escaped convicts are dubbed the Fox River 8. There were some familiar elements from season 1 that were thrown in the mix so that it doesn't completely abandon its roots. However, some of these elements just aren't as effective the second time around. And it had a few other minor flaws, but nothing to complain about. Just watching them go on the run from the police and the FBI and the company was great. Some of the character development was handled really well this season. There were a lot of shocking deaths that I kind of hated at the time, but they've grown on me. And some of the best twists and story directions can be found in this season. And it ended on a fantastic cliffhanger that was part of an epic finale. And had it not been for the writer's strike, maybe season 3 could have played out differently and much better. But still, I love season 3, but it's not quite as good as season 2, and for me, season 2 deserves a 9.5 out of 10. Coming in at number 3 is season 4. Ah yes, the grand finale. Well, until season 5 rolled along. So this is where the characters banded together one last time, well, at that time, to take down the company once and for all. Now in this season there were no breaking in and out of any prisons, there was no going on the run like fugitives. It was very reminiscent of a heist kind of story, with the characters attempting to steal something called Scylla, a very valuable asset to the company which they will use to seize control of America's economy. The character development was solid, the action was some of the best in the series, the story had some genuinely shocking twists and directions, and it found some nice ways to bring the entire series full circle, along with one of the most emotional finales of any TV show, at least at the time. But putting all of that aside, season 4 was an unforgettable experience, which is why I'd also give it a 9.5 out of 10. Now coming in at number 2 is either season 1, the one that started it all, or season 5, the revival season, which may be the final season for a while or forever, depends on whether or not they make season 6. But for me, number 2 will be season 5. Now, I wasn't sure what to expect going into this season because it got a very mixed response from critics, and but fans were more positive, well, most fans. And it was only 9 episodes because it was a limited event series, and not all of the characters will be coming back for this season. All of those, they weren't red flags, but I took all of that into account. That being said, this season blew me away. Yes, it basically undid the ending to season 4, but by the end of it, it felt like the true ending to the show, while also kind of leaving the door open for another season. The characters were woven into the story organically, although some of them could have had more screen time. I also liked how relevant and modern this particular season was. It wasn't just relying on nostalgic elements and stuff like that. It feels like its own thing. It feels like a brand new chapter in the series. The Middle Eastern setting in the fictional country of Yemen, which was in the midst of a civil war, was the perfect setting for this season. And I'm actually happy that this season was only 9 episodes. If it was much longer, it would have bored me at times. Balancing nostalgia and originality is incredibly difficult these days, but this season managed to do it almost perfectly, and for that reason, season 5 gets a 9.5 out of 10. But of course, my number 1 pick, and quite frankly everybody else's number 1 pick, is obviously season 1. The one that started it all. The one with this unique premise of a man getting himself purposefully incarcerated into a maximum security prison, the same one that his brother is in, just to break him out due to a political conspiracy that resulted in him being framed for the crime he did not commit. We get all the iconic characters as they're first introduced in the season. The season had some of the best twists and turns. Just the process of how Michael Scofield breaks out of prison step by step, it's fantastic. But it's really the universal themes of the show about brotherhood and family and so on that really helps people connect with the show and the characters and the story. And while it's not 100% perfect, I mean, there's bound to be some minor flaws, I'd have to give this particular season a 9.7 out of 10, and I'd go back to it any day. And you should too. So that was my ranking for Prison Break. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share it, subscribe, and hit the notification icon. Next time, I'm going to be doing a video discussing, how season 6 of Prison Break should be made if it does end up being made. With everything that's happening right now with the pandemic, this may have been the year where it could have gone into production, or who knows. But, it hasn't really, officially been cancelled. It's just not in development right now. But we'll see how it goes. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you all soon.